feel very called to share this message with you. So thank you, number one, for being here. Number two, thank you for clicking on this video. And number three, let's get to the point. So essentially what is happening is this chaos in life. And if you're going through it, this video, we're going to work our way through it because I think that's the best way. And I think in me sharing the thoughts and you sitting there, it can validate both of our thoughts, but we're also going to figure out what is going on, because even though I might not say exactly what you are going through, you're going to relate your experience to yourself, which is the magic of all this. So let's get after it. Number one, I feel like we're in the most weird time of our life. I honestly feel like, and hopefully you do too, or maybe you can relate to this, and drop it in the comments below as we go to essentially let me know what you guys are all feeling too. But this is crazy to seem like I feel like we all died and we're restarting life, because essentially all the skills that I've had from the previous 7 years of content, marketing, and branding are essentially becoming useless. And I feel like I'm rebirthing myself in a whole new way of I'm becoming a brand strategist, I'm becoming a coach, I'm working on essentially creating more of the backside of the content than actually creating the content. But then on the flip side, I'm also creating more of the content for myself and sharing it with people as I build my brand. And I feel like I'm in this really weird space between here's what I know really well and here's what I do really well. Here's what I'm interested in, and somehow it's all going to work. And it is the most biggest, the perfect analogy, which I had on a call with somebody, is I feel like I'm walking in the dark, blindfolded. Well, not even blindfolded. We can take that out. That's a little extra. So I feel like I'm walking in the dark with a flashlight, and my flashlight can only go as far as my next step is. And I literally feel like I'm navigating to wherever I'm going and whatever the universe has for me with it's 100% blind trust and 100% faith based on where I'm going and what's happening, to the degree that yesterday, maybe you can even relate to this, is I had something lined out and then something dropped last minute, got a call from something else that I was going to use that money to pay for, ended up not being able to pay for it, but they were like, oh, no worries, you can pay us in a couple months. And I'm like, holy shit. Talk about a plan, but then also the flip side of my mind's well, I don't want to add up more debt and stuff that I need to worry about paying for and all this stuff. And it was just and I'm sitting over here kind of going crazy the last 2 days and not knowing why. And then all that happened, and I was like, is my intuition ahead of what's happening, or is my subconscious mind creating these scenarios through the worst possible scenario? That is the midst of it all. And I'm sitting over here I don't know which one it is. And the one thing that I've been able to pull from all this, and maybe you can too, is what do they say is when internal conflict is essentially from what do they say, when your outside world doesn't reflect what your inner world is thinking, right? And that's kind of the illusion, I would say, is everything around me is this illusion. Inside, in my inner knowing, I know exactly what I want, I know exactly where I'm going, and I don't exactly know how it's going to happen, but I trust that it will happen, which means I'm just following my inner compass. However, here's the caveat, and this might be the key that connects us really well here, is nothing in my outside reality reflects what I'm being told on the inside, and that is super confusing. Would that be confusing for you? If you think about that, you're just okay, so it's essentially for an analogy for you, is imagine that I'm being guided to walk down the street, and my inner world is walk down the street. And then I walk down the street, and then I look up and it's a dead end. And then I'm like, what am I doing here? And there's nothing at the end. It's just you heard the call, you walk there, at the end. And I'm like, okay. So we're making it to the end of the street to find a dead end sign. Great. I'm glad I listened to my intuition. I'm staring at a dead end, and that's the analogy is I'm to the dead end right now. And I'm like, okay, I listened, we're here. What is it? And then it's what is it? The optimist in me is well, maybe that's the house lot that I'm going to buy that I build an empire on. And first I had to get here, and it's to a degree, or to the point of this, is I feel like I'm being guided step by step, but I have no solid plan of what the end is. And to the flashlight example, it's essentially I'm walking in the pitch dark with a flashlight that I can only see the next step, and I have no idea where I'm going, but I hope it's somewhere beautiful. But it's so in the internal conflict too is I know where I want to go, but I want to make sure I'm going in the right direction versus like I'm not able to see where I'm going. So it's creating this massive, massive sense of trust and faith. And I'm like, how do you trust and have faith when obstacles like the other day are popping up? And I'm like, whew, this is a tough one. So what I would do, what I would share with you through my experience and what I've processed already, and even in talking to you on this video that's helped me process, is essentially like we're going through a deep, deep time of trust and faith. And those two words are very loosely used in our reality, but to the depth of what I've been feeling this past, I mean, this has even been going on since like October, November. If that resonates with you, we're definitely on the same wavelength. But I feel like I've just been blindly walking to somewhere, and any strategy or plan that I create doesn't work, and it returns back to essentially like going in blind. Like the only structure that I can have is the structure of like my brand guidelines, for instance, is like, here's the tone, here's the colors, here's the logo, here's the content plan, but we have no idea what we're going to create and put out to the degree of, you know, what I'm working on. And it's like, everything's kind of like that. Like, here's the pillars of my interest. I like adventure, travel, I like coaching, and I like creating strategies for brands, and I love to create content. Great. Now, it's not going to show me exactly what I can do with those, and even though I might come up with a plan, it's not going to work, but I have to know, like, those are my resources that I have to use with whatever situations get thrown to me. So say I get, you know, like the other day, I'm like, oh crap, what are we going to do here? Like, at the end of the day, I could leverage my content and my skills to help them out, get me out of a pinch, or, you know, whatever. It kind of like, you get what I mean? Like, you watching this video, you're going to have a specific set of skills that you know you're good at. And what you need to do is anchor into those skills and use the ones that essentially are giving you energy, right? Because there's two types of energy. We have the type of things that we do that drain our energy, and we have the type of things that we do that gives us more energy. So we need to suppress the ones that are draining us and increase the ones that are giving us energy. So look at your skill set, look at your tool belt, and see which ones are working best for you, you know? Like, why don't you use them? Or like, do you have a fear of using them? Are you afraid of success, that if you maybe use those tools that you're going to become successful? Maybe that's what I'm going through, you know? That's kind of resonating a little bit. I'm like, man, maybe I'm just afraid of the unknown and success, but in the unknown is where I find success, you know? But essentially, like, figure out what your tools are. Like, you're good at some stuff and you might not use them all, and map it out and just put it out there and see what it looks like, you know? Like, you might find some things that are really calling you that you haven't been putting out there that you're really good at and you're passionate about, but you aren't using, you know what I mean? And then that stuff could actually be your biggest win, because this is a firm belief that I do carry, is like, in having nothing, you know everything that you want. And in being in this space of, I swear to God, I'm being pushed to the end by the universe, I know that what I was doing was not for me, but what I want has similarities to what I used to do. So for instance, like, I went from building content with clients, like pretty much doing photo, video, editing, and creating branding content. Now I'm stepping back because I'm like, you know what's more valuable than actually the content? Anybody can shoot that now, right? There is a level of quality that I carry that I will shoot for, but essentially, like, the strategy is so important. The guidelines are so important. And without those two pieces, like, nobody can create content. But if you have those two main pillar pieces, anybody can create the content, right? So then that opens up doors for me of like time and freedom, because I was being held back by having to shoot and edit the content. And this is essentially a solution that I'm diving into to be like, well, if I can't be there, how can I still be there? And that's like by creating the guidelines and essentially the strategy, right? So then apply that to your own reality, and like, what things can you let go of to free up more time but still create the construct for other people to follow? Because I think, as I told you, like, my instance is it's allowing me to have more freedom but still do what I do, but at a different value set that allows me to have more time for myself. And having more time for myself, I get to create videos like this where we can sit here and talk to one another, and we can process, and we can vent, and we can also just like develop what we're trying to find the answer to. And I think that's so important. So, you know, look at your skill set, look at the things that light you up, and think like, in your current circumstance, how could you recreate yourself in this moment with this opportunity and this chaos to be a version of yourself that gets paid to do what they really love? And not only that, they get paid to be themselves and have freedom of time, money, location, obligation, and just be themselves and get paid to live life. Isn't that the goal? I don't know about you, but that's my goal. That's what I've been diligently working hard on. So I don't know. Maybe that is what this chaos is, because I'd say in chaos it gets spun out so crazy that it almost is meant to spin you out. That's my belief, is like we go through chaos to literally get to the point that we're like, this isn't it, stop. That'll be a cool thumbnail. But essentially allow that to stop. You have to be the one to say, stop, this is too much. And then once you stop it, then it gives you that exact, instance to state what you do want. Because like when life's good, I'm personally, I don't know about you, but I'm personally kind of like this, like, well, I don't know what I really want. But when life's bad, I can tell you exactly what I want, exactly what needs to change, and exactly where I want it to go. So like even take that as like maybe like I don't know the word for that. Maybe take that as a golden nugget, a little pearl here. Is like, maybe you're just being pushed to identify exactly what it is that you want. And once you identify what it is you want, what actions can you do every day to start manifesting that? Because thoughts are important. They create our realities because they create the actions that follow. So what thoughts can you start putting in your head now to create the actions tomorrow to get you where you want to be next week, next month, next year? You get the gist. Maybe that's it. I think even in talking through all this with you, thank you for that, by the way. I appreciate you as a soundboard. I think that's it. We're in this mix of chaos and we have no idea what we're doing and what to do. But what doesn't fit anymore is being peeled away, and we're replacing that with what really speaks to us. And by concentrating on the thoughts that we're creating about what we really want to do in this time of chaos and maybe very scarce time. I know mine is. I'm like, what the fuck? But at the same time, I'm like, I know exactly what I want. That's paying dividends. So use this time to really identify what you want. Write down, maybe on a piece of paper, write down 3 things that you want to bring in the next month, weeks, year, and then what are thoughts, or what is a plan that you can do every day to make that happen? Because honestly, like even stuff I've been doing like every morning as my routine, it's starting to manifest, and it's cool to see what we can do with our daily, the start and the finish of our day to like bring in the lives we want. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's what you should do. That's your exercise. That's what I've been doing, and it's working. So maybe that'll help you. But either way, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for listening. Peace out. Have a good day.